designed the house with the train room in mind. He didn't want to have to duck or raise a bridge, so he built the entrance stairway in the middle. The room measures 20 by 60 feet, and part of Brasher's collection is displayed on shelves at both ends.
I always wanted to make a layout that used the trains the way they were intended to be used. Freight trains with freight accessories, passenger trains with passenger accessories.
The table surface, 29.5 inches high, is 1/2 inch thick sound-deadening board on top of 5/8 inch plywood. Brasher likes the surface's neutral shade because it doesn't compete with his brightly colored trains. Incandescent lighting is used because fluorescents distort color. There are 550 feet of standard gauge track, 32 switches, 3 loops, 17 sidings, and 7 crossovers. 7 Lionel Type Z 250-watt transformers provide the power.
All the wiring is color-coded with soldered joints.
Chuck started collecting when Susie took his pre-war American Flyer O-gauge set to be repaired. Some parts were supplied by Ron Wade. Wade, who became Brasher's good friend, had a Lionel standard gauge collection. When Chuck saw all those trains on display, he was hooked. That was 1966. From the beginning, Brasher wanted more than just to accumulate trains. He wanted to operate them. The fact that he had no layout didn't stop him.
I even used to nail my track down to my apartment floor right through the carpet.
Brasher, a contractor, spent 3 weeks working on plans before the first section of track was put down. He feels this is an important phase and, in the end, saves a lot of time. The finished layout does not deviate more than 5% from the original plans.
I took each accessory I was going to use on the layout and measured it height, width, length. Then I decided a track plan that would accommodate all the accessories and get the most switches and track in the space I had.
Chuck's favorite era is classic standard gauge, and he has just about every major standard gauge set and accessory made by American Flyer, Ives, Dorfan, and Lionel between 1920 and 1940. Introduced in 1929, the Lionel State Set is one of the most valuable and elaborate train sets ever built. The cars, 21 inches long, 7 inches high, and each weighing almost 7 pounds, feature hinged roofs, illumination, revolving armchairs, and lavatories with toilet seats that raise. Each of the cars is named after a state: the 412 California, the 413 Colorado, the 414 Illinois, and the 416 New York Observation. Another handsome train was Lionel's Blue Comet, named after the Jersey Central's fancy weekend excursion train to Atlantic City. It was first cataloged in 1930. The two-tone blue cars featured everything the Lionel State cars featured, but they were a little shorter. The two Pullmans in observation were named after actual comets: Faye, Westfall, and Temple. Ives, whose dedication to quality was so great that they went bankrupt rather than compromise their standards, is the sentimental favorite among standard gauge collectors. This Ives passenger set, headed by a 3242 electric, was cataloged in the mid-20s. The striking 3245 Ives Olympian, modeled after the Milwaukee Roads Bipolar, was cataloged in 1929 and 1930. It came only as a passenger set. Brasher runs it with freight cars because it does not have the matching passenger cars. Two more Toy Train Hall of Fame sets are the Ives Black Diamond and the Orange Bankers Special. Ives started making trains compatible to Lionel's standard gauge in 1921. Their line of freight cars was both realistic and charming. Much of the trim was soldered on by hand. One of the rarest Ives freight cars ever made is the Harmony Creamery car. About 200 were made in 1922 for the Harmony Dairy of Harmony, Pennsylvania. In 1928, Ives, financially troubled, was taken over by American Flyer and Lionel. During the next 2 years, Ives freight cars would be made from both Lionel and American Flyer parts. Called transition cars, they are eagerly sought by collectors. Chuck has almost a complete set. Perhaps the most elusive is the 199 Derrick car. This car is extremely hard to find because it was made in 1930 only and was not available in any sets. It had to be purchased separately. Chuck has two rare versions of the Ives 190 tank car. This version has a Lionel tank, American Flyer frame, and Ives trucks, making it one of the few toy trains made up of parts from 3 different companies. The version with an American Flyer tank and Ives trucks is the hardest to find of all the Ives transition cars. A gold eagle perched on a pedestal with wings extended in arrested flight signifies American Flyer. A set considered by many to be the most beautiful ever made is the American Flyer's President Special, introduced in 1928. Enameled in two-tone Rolls-Royce blue, this beautifully proportioned set represents a high level of the train maker's art.